went so quickly, here one moment and gone the next, in a way that made him almost impossible to properly track. The human me didn't particularly care for it either, actually. But my human self had bigger issues with him at the moment. I spun around and found him so close that our noses practically touched. He didn't back away, though. He never did. I think it was some sort of test, the way he always got in my personal bubble like this. Like he thought he could make me uncomfortable enough that I would be the one who backed away. He was sadly mistaken, though. I had no problem with yelling directly into his face. "Are you insane? I barely dodged that. Look at my arm." "You weren't supposed to dodge it," he said calmly. "You were supposed to block it. Why do you think I chose these cliffs as our practice ground, Is it because you're insane?" "It was so you would have nowhere to run," he snapped. I glared at him, but between the pain in my arm and the fatigue that these past 2 hours had caused, I had a hard time coming up with a snappish response of my own. "Because running will not save you, nor anyone else now," he said, his voice quieter as he finally turned away. "So you are going to have to learn to stand your ground against this sort of thing, against magic far greater and impossibly more powerful than mine." "Have you ever thought about maybe taking it slow?" Vanessa asked crossly, taking a step after Phelan's retreating figure. "Alex has only had her grandfather's magic abilities for 5 weeks now? And Cyrus had an entire lifetime to study and perfect his control of that magic. You can't really expect her to immediately get the hang of this." I sighed, but didn't bother telling Vanessa I didn't need her to defend me. It was just in her nature to do it. Besides, I knew what Phelan's response would be as soon as Vanessa asked the question. "We don't have a lifetime to work with, unfortunately," he said. Vanessa's ears twitched, and she let out an irritable snort. But there was nothing to say, and no argument to make about that. Because Phelan was right. I needed to get better at this, fast. Every aching muscle in my body, along with every new burn and bloody scrape I'd gained today, seemed to flare painfully at the mere thought. But I had no choice but to push all that to the back of my mind, to refocus. I didn't want Phelan to keep walking away. I wanted to keep going, to at least practice a little more today. I had to. But Phelan shook his head as soon as I thought it. "I believe you're done for the day," he said. "What? No, I can keep going. He spun, and gray daggers of magic flew from his fingertips in one incredibly quick, fluid motion. They hurtled straight at Vanessa. She crouched, prepared to spring aside. Too slow, I thought. My vision blacked out. When it flickered back into focus, I was standing in front of Vanessa, my hands raised in front of me. And I watched as magic, my magic, slammed into Phelan's. It wrapped around the daggers and crushed them into puffs of wispy smoke that floated harmlessly up into the cloudless sky. I was completely locked in place for a moment, not even breathing as I watched the wisps disappear. Then the familiar weakness, the one that always came after I actually managed to do any of this magic crap, hit me. Hard. I dropped to my knees. Couldn't help it. My head was pounding, everything was spinning. I could barely breathe, much less stand. Several moments passed before I came back to my senses, before I could see and hear well enough to make out the knobbly-kneed old man leaning over me, humming thoughtfully to himself. "Oh, so you did learn something today after all," Phelan said. "Well done." "Yeah, this definitely feels like a victory," I wheezed. "Small victories add up to large triumphs," he replied. "What is that, something you read on a fortune cookie somewhere?" He crouched down next to me, back in my bubble again, and he was giving me his most serious, stop making dumb jokes and pay attention to me face. "Do you even understand what you've just done?" He sighed. "This magic is an extension of your inner self that reflects and is tainted by your wants, desires," he said, "just as you only managed to break the pact when you were thinking so strongly of sacrificing yourself. So now this new magic is strongest when you truly desire something." He glanced at Vanessa, "such as protecting your friends." "Yeah, that's all well and noble," I said, pushing back onto the balls of my feet. "But it doesn't make any sense, because I'm pretty sure I didn't desire for you to almost kill me a few minutes ago. But my magic wasn't making an appearance then, now was it?" "No,